Okay, picture this. You're scrolling, maybe watching a video, and suddenly there's this ad. Helicopter, rugged terrain, camaraderie, someone pushing their limit. It feels epic, right?
Like a blockbuster movie trailer.
Exactly. But it's not Hollywood. It's a recruitment campaign. Incredibly sophisticated, part of a multi-million-euro effort designed purely to draw you in. And not to the cinema, but maybe to the armed forces.
It's quite something.
So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, modern military recruitment, and we're focusing specifically on the Dutch Ministry of Defense.
Right.
Our main source is a YouTube transcript, verleidt Defensie jongeren om het leven in te gaan. It's got insights from a marketing expert, but also, crucially, from a young person who is actually targeted by these ads.
Which gives us a really valuable perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
So our mission really is to unpack how these campaigns actually work. Who are they aiming for? What are the ethical questions? And what does it all tell us about how society views defense these days?
Trying to get you that comprehensive understanding, but without sort of drowning you in data.
Precisely. So let's get straight into it. These professional, almost cinematic ads. What's really going on behind the scenes?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out is just the level of sophistication. It's nothing like the old "Your country needs you" posters.
No, definitely not.
Defense has really shifted its whole approach. It's moved from just sort of broadcasting a general message to actively, almost surgically, seeking out the specific individuals they think might be receptive.
Targeted, highly targeted.
Extremely. It's become a very refined digital operation.
And they've brought in the big guns to do it. I mean, the sources mention agencies like Media, Monks, part of S4 Group, and Recruitment from Defensie Group. These aren't small players. They handle massive consumer brands.
Exactly. And Recruitment specializes in international recruitment.
Which sounds like a perfect fit for defense needing specific skills, maybe? What does using these kinds of agencies really signal?
It signals a huge shift, I think. A recognition that they're competing in a really tough talent market.
Right, like any other major employer.
Precisely. They aren't just looking for numbers anymore. They need specific skills, specific mindsets. And to get those people, especially when it's voluntary, you need top-tier marketing. These agencies bring the creative, sure, but also the deep data analysis.
The analytics to find the right people.
Yeah, to identify, segment, and persuade audiences that maybe defense couldn't reach effectively before. They're essentially selling military service as a compelling career path because, well, they have to.
And it's not just a couple of ads either. The source described it as almost an inundation. Hundreds of different visuals across loads of channels.
Constant exposure, varied messages. It keeps it fresh, avoids ad fatigue.
What's really smart, though, is what the source calls this nap combinati, this clever mix. They hit you on two levels, right?
The emotional pull.
Yeah, like belonging, purpose, doing something meaningful for society, that kind of thing.
Which really resonates, especially with younger generations, Gen Z. That search for purpose is huge.
Definitely. But then there's the other side.
The rational appeal. Career opportunities, education, skills, stability. It grounds the maybe romanticized idea of service in something tangible.
So why is that blend particularly powerful for defense, maybe more so than for, say, a tech company?
Well, I think because the commitment is so significant. It's not just a job. It's a potential life path with unique demands and, let's be honest, risks.
Sure.
So appealing to both the heart, the desire for meaning, and the head, the need for security and growth is crucial. It addresses the whole person, making the choice feel more complete, more considered, especially when there's no conscription forcing the issue.
It positions it as more than just employment, then.
Exactly. A path with deep personal rewards, both emotional and practical.
Okay, this sounds impressive. That also sounds expensive. How much are we talking?
Well, the sources give us some figures. Overall recruitment gets about 1% of the defense budget, which is, around 20 billion euros. So that's roughly 250 million a year for all recruitment efforts.
Wow, okay. That's a lot.
But for these specific digital campaigns, the ones we're focusing on, the estimate is much lower, somewhere between 5 and 10 million euros annually.
Huh. Only 5 to 10 million. That seems surprisingly low, given the sophistication in the overall budget. What does that tell us?
It tells us it's incredibly efficient. That budget difference highlights the shift. See, the cost isn't so much in buying massive airtime on TV anymore.
Right.
It's more in creating all that diverse content, those hundreds of visuals, and then using digital platforms to target it very, very precisely.
So less waste. They're not showing ads to people completely uninterested.
Exactly. They're reaching the right eyeballs on the right platform, probably at the right moment. It maximizes the impact of every euro spent. It's precision marketing, getting more bang for their buck.
So beyond the slick production, the real secret sauce is this targeting. It's not just general ads, it's hyper-targeted. How on earth do they manage that?
Well, this is where it gets, as the source says, almost frighteningly specific. It's all down to algorithms.
Our old friends, the algorithm.
Indeed. They analyze everything. Your clicks, your browsing, what you like, what you share, maybe even what you search for, all those little digital breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Defense's advertisers use this data to build profiles. They see who clicks on their ads, what kind of person responds to what message, and they refine it constantly. If you click, they learn. If someone like you doesn't click, they learn from that too.
So it's adaptive. It learns and adjusts.
Constantly. It creates this feedback loop, building ever more accurate pictures of potential recruits and then hitting them with tailored content right in their feed.
And the sources give a great example. This young woman, let's call her Emma, around 2021 maybe.
Yeah.
She kept seeing defense ads everywhere, like one for a 10-year program, 365 days to get everything out of yourself, really aspirational stuff. But an older person involved in the source discussion never saw them. Not once.
Perfect illustration. Emma's experience is fascinating because it shows how effective it is, but also maybe slightly unsettling.
How did she react? Did it feel weird?
She described it as feeling almost recognized. Like, they seem to know what I'm thinking about, or they get my desire for challenge, but also a bit of, wait, how do they know this?
Right. That slight unease about data privacy.
Exactly. It felt personal, like the ads were speaking directly to her quest for purpose, which made them powerful, but it also made her think about her digital footprint. It shows how these algorithms aren't just selling trainers. They're potentially nudging major life decisions.
And it's not just the ads, is it? This is part of a bigger picture.
Definitely. The sources mention these things called resocialization programs, like karambatsa.
What are those exactly? Sounds intense.
They're kind of like advanced outdoor leadership or survival-type experiences, wilderness courses, challenging team activities, problem-solving under pressure.
So not explicitly military, but building relevant skills.
Precisely. Resilience, teamwork, adaptability, leadership, all foundational military qualities. It's about subtly cultivating that mindset, maybe even identifying potential, long before a formal recruitment ad ever appears.
Wow. So they're building a pipeline.
A very holistic one. They're even studying their current successful personnel to understand what makes them thrive so they can better target similar profiles out in the world. It starts way before you see that slick ad on YouTube.
Okay, so this whole system, highly sophisticated, targeted, emotionally resonant, using data in complex ways, it inevitably brings up questions about truthfulness, doesn't it? Ethics.
Absolutely.
Especially in the Netherlands, you have the Dutch Advertising Code, the NRC. Article 8.3 is pretty clear. Ads must be truthful, not misleading, and crucially, not omit essential info. How does Defense square these slick, aspirational ads with that code?
That's a really key point. And the government often operates in a slightly different space here. The sources mentioned the COVID vaccine campaigns, remember?
Oh, yeah, where they named specific brands.
Right. And the Advertising Commission allowed it, noting the government sometimes has a separate status. It's not purely commercial.
Okay. So there's some leeway.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But the expert in our sources actually argues that overall, today's defense ads are much fairer than they were, say, 10 or 15 years ago.
Fair. How so?
Back then, apparently, it was all just one long heroic story. Very little realism. Now, while still aspirational, they're seen as having made a positive development towards being more grounded.
Okay, much fairer. But hold on, how does that fit with the idea that they're maybe not showing the harsh reality up front? Is fairer the same as fully transparent? Seems like a fine line.
It is a fine line, and you're right to push on that. Fairer here seems to mean less overtly misleading than in the past. They might not show graphic combat scenes, but they also tend to avoid making outright false claims.
So it's more about strategic omission and framing, especially at first.
Exactly. It's about selection. The argument for fairness rests on what comes after the initial click or expression of interest.
Ah, the information trajectories you mentioned.
Right. That's the key part of their defense, ethically speaking. Once someone bites, they enter these structured pathways, detailed info online, maybe VR simulations, talks with recruiters, chats with current soldiers.
So that's where the less glamorous stuff comes out, the tough training, deployments, the risks.
That's the idea. The initial ad is the hook. designed for attraction. The later stages are meant for full disclosure, allowing for an informed decision before anyone signs on the dotted line. It's a funnel.
Like a car ad showing the open road, not the traffic jams and repair bills right away.
Kinda, yeah. Though the stakes are obviously different.
So the Advertising Commission looks at a few things. Is it misleading? Is it in bad taste? Not like a Rambo movie. And importantly, is it targeting people who are too young? The sources flag this last one as potentially on the edge, given the 1923 target group. Why is that age specifically a concern?
Well, it's a really formative time, isn't it? People are still figuring things out, exploring identities, maybe more influenced by strong aspirational messages.
More susceptible.
Potentially. The critique is that while they're legally adults, pushing such a huge life decision using powerful emotional appeals without the full context up front could be seen as taking advantage.
What's Defense's counter-argument?
That they are adults capable of making choices. The ads are just invitations to learn more, not coercion. And again, the full picture is provided later in those trajectories. Plus, realistically, the military needs to recruit relatively young before people settle into other careers, given the physical demands and training cycles.
So it's a balance between effective recruitment and, well, protecting potentially vulnerable young adults.
A very delicate balance, yeah.
Moving beyond the actual tactics, these campaigns don't exist in a vacuum, do they? They plug into bigger societal trends, like the normalization of the military. The sources even mention the Crown Princess having ties to the army that subtly reinforces its place, makes it seem normal, maybe even desirable.
It integrates defense into the national identity, makes it less other, positions service as respectable, maybe even prestigious.
And then there's the other side, the fear narrative. That phrase really stood out. If we do nothing, they'll be in Berlin in 3 years, Amsterdam in 7. Wow.
Yeah, that's stark, but it's a powerful motivator, tapping into real anxieties about geopolitical instability.
So it's not about glorifying war, but about necessity. Protection.
Exactly. It creates a sense of urgency, justifies the need for a strong defense, and therefore the need for recruitment. It shifts the focus from abstract security policy to, immediate concerns about safety. Very effective framing.
And you see this reflected in public opinion, which seems quite divided.
Definitely. On one hand, you have people thinking, great, we need a strong defense, good job recruiting.
But others see it very differently.
Right. As potentially fueling an arms race, maybe benefiting other countries like the U.S., pushing up NATO contributions, especially now that Europe is rethinking its defense spending overall.
It's amazing how quickly the politics have shifted, too. The sources note how some political groups historically avoided military investment.
Actively discourage it sometimes, yeah.
But now, there seems to be much broader acceptance, almost across the board, that a stronger defense is necessary. What does that political shift mean for these recruitment campaigns? Does it ramp up the pressure?
Oh, immensely, both politically and operationally. When there's suddenly this consensus the defense needs rebuilding fast, the focus immediately goes to personnel. You need people to operate the new equipment, fill the ranks.
But rebuilding isn't quick or easy, is it?
Not at all. The expert in the sources makes a critical point.
Right.
You can't realistically rebuild in just a year or two what was dismantled over a decade of budget cuts. Because trying to do that would mean pulling resources. And, crucially, people from other vital sectors. Healthcare, housing, education. They're all competing for talent. It forces really tough questions about national priorities.
So this pressure to rebuild quickly after years of cuts creates a massive tension.
A huge tension.
Does it make it more tempting for the campaigns to, well, overpromise or gloss over the harsh realities just to get numbers up urgently?
That's the risk, isn't it? The expert points directly to this. When the need is urgent because of perceived security gaps, the pressure to make the initial pitch as appealing as possible is enormous, even if it means holding back the full, unvarnished truth until later.
It's an ethical tightrope, immediate security needs versus long-term, fully informed recruitment.
Precisely. And that's why the critique that the ads don't show the harsh reality of what deployment really means. The daily grind, the risks beyond the adventure, becomes so relevant in this context of rapid rebuilding. They have to attract a generation while eventually delivering the sober facts of a very demanding career.
So we've really navigated this complex landscape from the almost cinematic ads and the clever algorithms driving them, right through to the ethical debates and the big societal shifts influencing it all.
Yeah, it's clear these recruitment campaigns are much more than just job ads. They're a reflection of national anxieties, strategic priorities, and the incredible power of modern marketing.
It really shows that complex interplay, doesn't it, between security needs, how the public sees the military, and these really sophisticated marketing tools.
It's about shaping narratives, influencing how a whole generation thinks about service, duty, and purpose in a world that feels increasingly uncertain.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, our listener. Consider this. In a world where algorithms track your clicks to shape the ads you see, and powerful institutions are getting incredibly good at persuasion, how much of what you feel is your own personal purpose is truly self-discovered, and how much might be subtly, expertly guided by forces you barely even notice?
Something to mull over next time you're scrolling through your feed.